So I'm cleaning up the cylinder heads which go on top of here. This one here is still in, but I'm going to clean that one out too. This one here is off. I wanted to show everybody the difference between the intake and the exhaust valves on here, and on the Briggs & Stratton motor they are written right on there. If you can see right there, it says N. On this one here, if you can see it, it says exhaust, EX. Now I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to take this one out, and I'm going to show you the difference in sizes between the two. So this is the difference, if you can see that. They are, okay, well here, I'll just go right on the table here. You can see that they are different diameters, which means this one here can only fit on this one, this hole. It cannot fit on this one, otherwise it'll be too small. You see how it'll just like go right into there? It's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to sit nicely. This chamfer is supposed to sit nicely on this chamfer. So it will just go in there and it will sit nice, look neat and tidy. This one too will do the exact same thing. And when you put them down, this is what they are supposed to look like. Okay? This is the difference between an intake and an exhaust on an overhead valve. Okay, so let's see, when you're looking at this, this is the right way up. This is like the correct way that it's going to sit on the journey when it's sitting on the ground. So these valves will sit, will sit like this. So the valves will be overhead of the cylinder. That is what is meant by OHV. They will sit just like that, and they will go up and down. Where are those? Okay, these here, now, you see how there is two different types of push rods. If you look at the ends of them there, right? The one on the left is for the exhaust, the one on the right is for the intake. And when you look at this here, there is two little dimples all the way, I can't really see them, but the one goes into there like that, the other goes into there like that, and when these spin, when the engine is spinning, this one goes in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out because of the tappets. This one here too goes in and out, in and out, in and out at a different interval of this one. And I went and spun this around, and believe it or not, well, I'm going to show you this later because I actually put this together after it was all cleaned up, and I'm going to take that apart in a few minutes here and show it to you what it looks like. I got it somewhat clean, but I'm cleaning up the cylinder head to put it back onto this. I'm going to do this one here too, and I'm going to work on that right now. Okay, so here is the motor taken off, and as you can see, I got it somewhat clean. This entire thing was rusted all to hell. This here was seemingly down, and as a result there was thick rust on this. And I ended up getting a majority off this with a file. Here, let me show you the file that I used. It was a regular triangular file, just like this. And I literally went and chipped it, like, and then I went and sanded it with the file, and I got it right down to the metal, pretty good. I didn't scrape it completely into the metal a whole lot, just on the outside, and then a lot of CLR and rust remover, and I got a majority, like, I would say I did a 97.5% job getting this far. There, when I looked at the wiring inside here, there's no broken wires whatsoever on the top or on the bottom. I did clean the bottom of here of all the junk and the gunk and all the grease and stuff. The top part here, these where the electrodes make their path, I cleaned those up pretty good. This bolt comes out, but this part here does not come out. I tried to get it off and I couldn't. As you can see on the other on the underside, I did the exact same type of cleaning. into there. It's smooth. There's no rust on thick rust on the surface. Now this part here, this I did a lot of scraping and filing and scrubbing to get this all somewhat clean and smooth. I chiseled out all the rough rust that was on there, and you can probably see just a little bit of it, but yeah. I just took this off like a few seconds ago just to show you guys this video because I already had it on there after I cleaned it up. And when I looked at this part, there was no broken wiring anywhere at all on any of the joints. The rust on the top and the bottom part here has been cleaned. And these connections here, all these connections here are good. I went and scrubbed them out. I went and put a whole bunch of grease on the bearing right here, which is right here. I put a whole bunch of grease on there so it would turn easier. These here are the two bushings. They seem to be fine. I cleaned those out. All the connections in there, the wiring are fine. They seem to be clean. There was nothing wrong with them. There's no breaks anywhere. Everything was all flushed out and rinsed. So I'm going to put this back onto here, and then this goes onto here. So I'm going to work on that right now. But in order to get this onto there, you cannot do it with this lying flat. You would have to have it tilted up. Just like that, just have it sitting on the table or on your bench or whatever, just like that. And then it will go on there smoothly, a whole lot better than if you were to do it horizontally. So I'm gonna get this all somewhat assembled. Okay, I just wanted to show everybody that I got this spinning freely, so this now turns. So this is what I'm looking for. So technically now I can now put this together, everything back together. I'm gonna replace these gaskets like I was talking about, the intake and the exhaust on the back. Those are the only two gaskets that I need to replace. There was rubber gaskets in this cover here. There's a rubber gasket for this cover, and there was metal gaskets for the cylinder head. I thought there was no metal gaskets, or no gaskets at all, but there is metal ones, and I've seen them. So these two are fine. This cylinder head has been cleaned. This cylinder head has been cleaned. Whoever it is that took off the push rods for both of these cylinders, they did not know how to put them on properly, and that is why they abandoned it. I have gotten them put on properly, and as you can see, I was able to spin it freely. So the cylinder head and the push rods and the springs, the tappets are installed, and I did not fuck any which way with the son of a bitch and timing with the inside of this engine. So therefore, technically under that circumstance, this should turn over quite well once I got everything back and installed. I will clean out the carburetor. We'll look at the carburetor a little bit better, and all the parts that I had that were taken off were in fact cleaned a whole lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and clean this surface here where the magnets go and or like the magnets, you know what I'm talking about. Frank, my head is still blank right now. I'm going to clean this surface off a little bit better, and then I'm going to put everything back together the way it is supposed to be. That's going to take a little bit of a while. This here friggin' nut, I had to buy a Canadian Tire, and it's a huge son of a bitch. You cannot get that nut without this friggin' socket. This friggin' socket, by the way, is 1.25 inches, and it is still too big. So 1 1/8 inches does not work. 1.25 inches is too big, so I'm thinking that the socket that is needed is 1 3/16 inches. Otherwise, it is metric and it is 29 millimeter. So, to get that off, you just have to put a socket onto there and then just jerk it off like. Now, if you're having trouble getting this off, you're going to need some patience because this entire thing was son of a bitch and rusted. And the reason why it was not turning over was because the motor here was seized. It was rusted because of the rain. And now it turns, everything now turns. I'm just going to put this slowly back together and place this gaskets just like I said. And I will show you guys my starting procedure. So that will happen like right now. So right here we have a starter for the generator. And as you can tell, it's raining out. It's a bit wet, so I got everything all covered up that I'm working on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this using a battery charger. This one right here. Motomaster by Canadian Tire. I was going to look for an actual device that puts out 12 volts and varies it, but a battery charger will do the exact same thing of what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. And what I'm trying to accomplish is I want to see if the starter works. So, normally, the positive part is hooked up to right here. And the negative part is hooked up onto the ground. So what that means is all I need to do is just touch the starter with the lead and it should start. That should be the issue. Here we go. Okay, so there we go. There we have it. It is now proven this starter works. Now what that means is I do not have to do any work on this at all. This part here, the gears here, go into right here, this area here. And it hooks up underneath there with, there's a bolt there and a bolt there. Those are the only two that hook it up. Plus all the other gizmos that I got to put together onto it, but I will get working on that right now. And now we have proof that there is nothing wrong with that starter. And to be honest, there is nothing wrong with a lot of things. It's just that electric motor in the back was seized up because it was rusty. I would be not surprised at all if this started beautifully, this entire engine component. So we'll see later. Okay, so we got this nearly put together. It's like 90% put together. And I just noticed something about this entire arrangement here. You might not see it with this video, but I'm gonna just give you a slow pan of everything that is on here that I put together. So it has to do with these overhead valve covers. This one here and this one here. So whoever had this apart the last time, they got these overhead covers reversed. This one is supposed to go over there and that one there is supposed to be right here. So when you're looking at the front of it, the cap from right here is actually supposed to be right here. And the reason why I just figured that out now has to do with this outlet right there. This copper looking outlet that you see right there, it is interfering with this outlet right here. So if this cover is supposed to be here, then that is facing that way. And if you were to take this and put it over to here, then that means this valve will be pointing out this way. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to switch this for this, and this blue cap should be on that side. It has nothing to do with the fact that this is upside down, like, because the lettering right there says OHV. It's supposed to be like that. Plus, it just doesn't make sense to have these screws offset. So I'm going to do that. Now, the next thing that I noticed was this part here. Now, I don't think this is really necessarily supposed to be bent like that. I think it's actually supposed to be straight. The part that goes on this here, I have that. It stretches from here and it goes to this hole here. There's supposed to be a screw for between these two parts right here. So I got that part, I just don't have that screw. Now the next thing I noticed was this right here. I get this feeling that this comes out and it goes somewhere on one of the part of the engines, and I don't know that, I don't know where, but I'm almost thinking, shit, you know what, I cannot even see where the heck that would go. So that is one of the missing parts as to what's connected with this. I don't know if that's the fuel. The fuel line is right here. This connects to the gas tank. The gas comes in through here, goes out through here, does its thing, and it comes out this part here and goes into the carburetor. The carburetor, which is right there, which feeds gas. Now this part here has to do with the air filter. And the air filter housing stuff is not here. That was also missing when I bought this unit, so now I have to get the entire assembly for the freaking air filter, which probably connects to this, and it probably connects to right here. I'm not sure. I will find that out. Now with the wiring I noticed I have a missing link, and once I got all the wiring put together, I found this part here. I don't know what that hooks up to. But I put the wiring together exactly as it was when I took it apart. And the starter works as you have seen, and I figured out that this part here, this lead wire, goes to a battery. So this is the positive portion of the battery, and this here is the negative, is the ground. It's actually hooked directly right up to the grounding of the generator. So these two leads hook up to a battery, and these two on the end here connect to the control panel at the back of the generator, which is right here on the back. So I gotta get that wiring all figured out. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put the starter back together, and this here part is for a key. There is a key ignition that you put in there and you start it. This completes the circuit with the wiring that is in the back here, and that wiring goes all the way down to right here and connects to the starter, this regulator thingamabob, and the other battery terminals. So that key starts this. It's got an electric ignition, which is why we have battery there. It's electric start. Plus we got a manual start right here. So, oh, frick. This part right here, this hole, that tells me that there is something that goes through that hole. And now I'm wondering if this cord is supposed to go through right here. So I'm going to mess with that a little bit. In fact, I'm going to mess with a lot of things. I'm noticing that I'm missing some screws and nuts and bolts in this, which I will order and put this. I got the spark plugs for that, and there is compression, so there should be no problem for this to fire up. It's just this part here, if it's still going to run, if it's still going to produce electricity. I've got everything put together to the very best that I can, except for those parts that are already missing. So I'm going to work on that right now. Alright, good afternoon everybody. Welcome to my nightmare. This here friggin' generator has been giving me a lot of problems, but as of recently I have just came to the final stretch of getting this entire thing running. So, if you see this little gig setup here, this is where I put the gas in, and now it's just to get a little bit of fuel in there, just so I was tinkering around with it, getting it running, and believe it or not, I actually friggin' got it running. I went and hooked up that battery to the starter, and all of a sudden it was turning, so there's compression, there's everything, and I checked the spark plugs, and the spark plugs were friggin' firing up. And then all of a sudden this thing started. It started for about maybe 30 seconds before it killed itself, just because the gas that was in the line ran out. And holy effing crap, this thing was smoking. The smoke was caused by the cleaning products I used to get this freaking thing running. And oh frick. I could not have got this running without help from manuals. See these two books here? These two books are what you need to get that engine running. This here is all the stuff, the serial numbers and whatever from the engine part. When it comes to the generator part, they're all gone. With this here, it tells me that this was made in November of 1994, November the 18th of 1994. It's explained in this manual here, which is called the repair manual. The repair manual you can buy as a book, or you can download it off of Etsy for like $11. And this goes through all the diagnostic troubleshooting that you will have with the assembly, the disassembly, the problems. And this is all by Briggs & Stratton Vanguard. This here is the parts manual. The parts manual will tell you the parts that make up that engine, and they will show you the pictures. They'll go through the different types of names of all those parts, and that was how I was able to order the missing parts for this generator. The missing parts mainly being the air cleaner right there, which was on top, and I also need a key. So there's a starter key, just like an ignition, and that starter key goes right there. I don't have the key that fits into there. I gotta get this thing as a whole new unit. But if you look at the back here, you can pull that plug out and hot wire it. And those wires are right here. So I'm going to show you a diagram, and this is what we were going to be looking at in that diagram. So let's go look at it. In order to hot wire this, this book tells you the electrical configuration for it, and this is to start it, this is while it's running, this is to shut it off. This is the diagram of what it is that I have, and if you look right here, on mine it's backwards for the 2 and the 1. The 2 is not being used, it's just blank, but the 1 is working. In order for me to start this generator, I need to hook up the 4 and the 5. I need to get these two connected, and I used a little wire just to do that together. So I used that wire, I jammed it into the orange one here and this one here, and then I went and hooked up the battery. I just like touched the negative part on there, and then it fired up. Now, once I got that fired up, I was like completely, totally freaking amazed that it actually did turn over. And it turned over about a good 30 seconds, a lot of smoke like I said. I just had a hard time shutting it off, and I didn't know how to shut it off. Unfortunately, I gotta find another wire, and I gotta ground it out. So, I now know which one to ground it out at if I gotta use that wire just to stop that. I'm going to start this for you guys later. I just wanted you all to know that if you're going to undertake rebuilding an engine, those springs are going to be a son of a bitch for you to know where they go, how they're supposed to look and whatever. And that book tells you exactly how they're supposed to go. It tells you the adjustments to be made. This here is to control the speed. This goes in and out. This wire that is on here is intentionally supposed to stick out just a little bit. The carburetor adjustment screw is right there, and that, I don't know if you can see it, that screw right there needs to be unseated by a turn and a quarter, which means you put it in just so it's just seated and then pull it at a turn and a quarter. That is the only screw that there is for carburetor adjustments. This here is just for idle. That's your idle screw. I'm not going to touch that unless I have problems with it. But this here's the air intake. This lever, pull it in and out. That is your air intake. That is to run it. This is to choke it. Or this is to start it. Run, start, run. That's the instructions are actually right there. But you get the idea. This is the air intake. It's the same thing as a weed whacker and a lawnmower. The fuel goes in through here, and the setup for the fuel is like right here. The fuel tank, which is this. I had tested this. I had filled it up with water. I had washed it out. This does not leak. So once this is full of gas, it comes out from here. There's a little filter in here, a little shut-off valve. Goes through the fuel line, which is this, and goes in. So I'm gonna, when I do start it up, I'm gonna get this like rigged up a little bit better. I'm gonna put a little bit of gas in there. I'm gonna start this up for you guys. Like I said, there's gonna be a lot of smoke as a result of the cleaning product that I used. But other than that, this thing actually is going to run. It's gonna be a success. I'm very happy with that. Frick. Oh gosh. So that will be all for explanations for now, son of a bitch. Okay, so there is something I just found out about that plug that is on my, the key switch that is on the generator there. This is the way that it's supposed to look. I'm going to give you all a small pan out of it. Now, with that plug that I have, this one here, I went and drew out what it is that I have. And this is currently what it looks like. And as I just found out from the Briggs & Stratton manual, it's not supposed to look like this. Briggs & Stratton says it's supposed to look like this. So you can tell that I've got 4 terminals there that are absolutely backwards. And what that tells me is whoever had worked on this generator, and it was clear to me that somebody did, they had put the wires in wrong, and they got the yellow wire correct, and that was it. So, this is what I have. This is what I'm supposed to have. I gotta correct it to make it work, and according to the manual here, I gotta make it look exactly like this manual in order for it to run correctly. Let's look at the plugs over here. So, I'm not sure if I am able to pull those wires out and get them switched around, but I'm thinking I might be able to do that. I'm thinking it shouldn't be too hard just to pull them out and switch them, but I figure if I'm going to do that, I might as well clean the terminals while I'm at it. And I don't think if I had the key, it would work properly on that. So therefore, if I fix this the way it's supposed to be, it should work if I was to have the key. Now I gotta fix that up. So that's what I'm gonna work on right now. That's it. So I got the friggin' wires replaced with the way that they're supposed to be, and I decided to take a wire brush and clean the terminals as I took them out. And it is clear to me that when I looked at this, somebody clearly had this black part off the wires, and they just put them on, and they couldn't get it running. So that would have also been one of the reasons why they could not get it running, because they put the wires in wrong. And the key probably would not even turn over or start. So, I got that fixed. Now we're going to look at the diagrams. Okay, so this is what I have. This is what I corrected it to. And these are the start sequence. So this white wire is supposed to go to some afterburner solenoid, and when I look at all the other YouTube videos, this white wire is not connected to anything. This one here does not exist, it's just blank. And it's still labeled 1, and you still use it when you're turning it off. So if I was to use my wire to connect 2 leads with regards to how it's written here, then this is how I would connect them. Now before, when I said that I had it started, I was connecting the orange and the yellow. So when you look at that, I had the orange and the yellow connected, and I was starting it up. Now if I wanted to run this, I would have to connect the 5 and a 6. So that would be the orange and the red. I would connect these 2 to run it, these 2 to start it. So start and then run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire, I'm going to put it on the run position, and then start it, hook up that battery terminal to it. and I'm going to work on that like right now. Alright, so this is what it's supposed to look like when the air cleaner is on there. Now, as you can tell, it's missing the top portion of that air cleaner, and it's on the way. It's in the mail. It's going to show up one day, eventually. And so this part here, I'm assuming, is the air intake or the air outtake for the rewind. I'm thinking that's what it is. I'm not exactly sure, but the 3 holes here are the air intake for the carburetor. I've got the breather tube connected all the way in there, and if you can see it, see that silver thing right there? That's the breather tube that goes inside the air cleaner. And I'm going to jimmy rig the starter with this here. I found some wire that I had some left over, so I'm just going to plug it into the holes, start it, and then turn it off. And then that's... Oh, I forgot. I took this plate off here with these 2 screws, and I used my screwdriver to make the carburetor adjustment. And so I took out the screw and I went and cleaned it, and then put it back in. I just gently seated it and then twisted it out a turn and a quarter. So that was according to Briggs & Stratton. So that is made. This here adjustment has been made. They said in the manual that this wire is supposed to stick out just a little bit. So apparently what that means is that's how it's supposed to look. But when you look at this spring here, you push that in, and this happens. So when you push that, it goes in a little bit, hey? So it probably has something to do with the internal. As a result of it turning over the other day, I'm assuming that, hopefully, that there's some power here. What I can do is, while I'm messing around with it, I could plug it in. So this is what the power out looks like. So I could plug in a light to see if it does have power, and if the light does work, then that means I've got a fully working generator. Now, for the fuel, I'm just doing an experiment when I go to start it, but that clear tube there should go into here. It should. I'm assuming that the gas is going to get sucked out, but when you look at the setup for the gas tank, it's gravity fed. This air is not exactly gravity fed, so it may or may not work. I'll find that out the hard way, I guess. And well, if it doesn't work, then I'll do what I did before with the freaking funnel. But this is the trial and error that I'm going through to get this going. There is not too many fix-it videos on this generator. I seem to have the only one. So here we go. Alright everybody, the moment I have been waiting for. The brand new part that I needed, which was this here and this here. I needed the keys because the old one did not have the keys, but these keys fit into this one, and believe it or not, these keys also fit into this one. Now, the way that it works is these keys go into there. You turn it, this is on run, and when you turn it some more, it goes start. And when you let go, it returns back to run. That's the spring motion inside the key mechanism. So once you hear that it's starting, you let go, it goes to run, and then it should normally run. Now, that there where I was hot wiring will go into the back of this here. Those are brand new. This is an entirely brand spanking new set. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to replace this here, and then the stickers will go over here. And technically there is supposed to be a switch, which is like right here, but it does not show that on any of the freaking drawings that I have. So therefore I don't think I will have that switch. So What I also ordered was this brand spanking new, nice, beautiful, slick, hardtop air filter cover that finally came in. Now that that's on, all I have to do is put that onto this, clean everything up here, and it rained overnight, and unfortunately when it rained, this is what the rain was going into, so there is rainwater that is inside my fuel system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart all this crap. I'm going to take that carburetor out, clean out the carburetor, put everything back, flush it nicely, clean, and then see if that ignition will work. Hopefully the battery stayed charged after all that time. It probably didn't, but this is what I will be working on right now. Okay, so I'm just about to put this all together when I just noticed one of the other problems that I'm having, and that is with the starter. So that's the starter right there, and when I quit shaking, you're going to see something. See those teeth right there? They're kind of grooved in the middle, and they're supposed to spin this here. That's not going to happen because they're grooved. This here is a plastic part. I gotta go replace this part now, and hopefully it's an aluminum one, because if it's the friggin' aluminum one, it's not going to do this. As long as I have a plastic thing like this, it's going to continue to do this all the time. Frag. So, I am so close to getting this thing put together now. I got to deal with that. So yeah, I can probably put this back together, but until then, I got to go fix that stupid part, and then, frig, get that. Son of a bitch. Anyhow, I'll work on that. I'm just going to put everything back together because I think I can take that starter out without too much problems. So here we go. Putting this all back together. Okay, everybody, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. I have been waiting for at least. It is Sunday, September 12th, 2021. I'm going to show everybody what it is that I had done to this before I show you what it looks like when I start it. So, the parts that I ordered, a lot of them had to do with this here air cover. The air cover itself, the air filter assembly, the breathing tube, and this here switch. And if you're wondering what this is where the gas goes into, and I do have the gas tank. I just hooked it up like this as temporary, so I don't have to keep on taking it apart. There is a brand new battery with brand new battery cable. Everything is hooked up. I just hooked it up a few minutes ago. All the wiring is in place and connected, and there's no sparks, no nothing, no shorts. Therefore, everything is okay there. If there is any adjustments that I need to make to the carburetor or the engine, it might have something to do with this. Otherwise, it would probably have something to do with the carburetor, which is right behind here. This is in a position to be running, so when you look at that sign there, it says pull out to start, push in to run. So we're going to pull out to start. Okay, and then we're going to turn that key to see if it starts. Now, this may or may not work, I don't know, but just in case there is a fire, I've got a fire extinguisher right there. So we're going to see what happens when I turn on the engine. What I am expecting... Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. What I had to do is I had to go buy a brand spanking new part for the starter. Now, the starter pinion gear is this one here, and this is made out of plastic, and the reason why I had to replace this is, as you can see, it wore out grooves in there as a result of the flywheel. The flywheel itself is metal, and this here is plastic aluminum. I looked everywhere online, and I cannot find this as being steel. If I was to find this as being steel, there would continue to be problems, according to online comments saying that the steel ones would wear out the flywheel. So therefore, I guess I just have to keep on buying these until it works, or I don't know, a frig. That flywheel gear is like right into here. This is the gear cover. You have to take a lot of shit out just to get at that. So, okay, I'm going to situate my camera up in a way for us to start it, and just before I remember, this here is the oil. I checked the oil. The oil is full. So there's oil and gas in this, and hopefully it should go. So here we go, everybody. Okay, so it didn't start just then and there. And I have a feeling it had to do with the wiring of the male plug connecting into the female key switch. Now I got the wires reversed according to the drawing, because I just figured out the drawing may have been giving me the wiring for the key switch and not the female plug. I will explain that in the next video later, but now that I got the wires properly switched around, now we're going to see if this starts, and I have a feeling it might do that. So here we go. I'm going to put the camera right over here. It's like that. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Woohoo! I like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more gas into that, and then we're going to try it again. Okay, I got some gas into there, and it goes into this regulator here, which goes in through all the other tubes and into the carburetor. Since I put that new gear in here, I'm not sure how long that new gear is going to last, if it lasts at all. And then I went and put a starter in and tightened everything up, so hopefully it doesn't screw up on me. I wouldn't want that. But I'm going to put this back in like that, and then I'm going to try it again. This time, we're going to have different results. Here we go. Oh, I got gas everywhere. Woohoo! I just gotta go and make that a little bit better next time I start it. So I'll work on that right now, but I'm glad that I got it to fire up like that. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That's exactly the sound that I want to hear and the sight that I want to see. So next video, this is going to be standing a whole lot better than this. Alright everybody, this is the moment I've all been waiting for. We've all been waiting for. I've been trying to get towards. This is what the generator looks like in its original entirety with the gas tank on. I went to Canadian Tire and got those wing nuts for all four corners to secure the gas tank, and it's solid. Like, if I can't even wiggle it loose. So let's take a look at it here. There's the air filter that I just put in. If you look at the very back here, you will see the brand new fuel shutoff switch, which is hooked up to the air filter. I just hooked up to the carburetor. You probably can't see, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch open that fuel filter, or fuel shutoff. Yep, I'm going to turn it on. So, okay, now it's on. Fuel should be flowing through there, and blah, 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 blah. And I got rags underneath just in case there's a fuel spill. I checked the oil. The oil is fine. I got this sitting on 2x4 so it doesn't crunch the tile underneath, rags underneath in case there's any type of spill. When this is running, and it does run because I tried it yesterday and it didn't get the video of it starting up, but it does run. I was able to shut it off. We're going to see if this light here turns on. If it does or if it does not. This is all... Oh, there's the fuel filter I was talking about. Because I went and switched it from a funnel to the actual filter, or the gas tank, that means it's kind of gonna take a few minutes to start, get it going. The fuel comes down through the filter and it goes in through here, comes up here, does its thing, comes out of there, right there, goes directly into the carburetor. There's a part here that goes into the what do you call this? The camshaft, overhead cams. I don't know exactly what the purpose is, but that's where it is. But I don't know what else I can tell you about what you're gonna see. The muffler is right there. It's probably gonna spit out some black smoke or whatever. You're probably gonna see this thing shaking a whole lot, but whatever. I'm going to use these keys to turn it on. I'm just gonna put the camera right here to get it set up. Let's give me a minute here. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to start it, and then I'm going to run it for probably 10 seconds, and then I'm going to shut it off. Fire extinguisher, if I freaking need it. It's right here. Okay, it's a little rusty. So as you can tell, I got some fine tuning to do onto it. Now when I look underneath, you can see there's some spills. That's probably from the exhaust, which is right there. So any fine tuning that I need to do to it will happen from right here, and from the carburetor from right here. So I will have to take this grill off to access the carburetor, and that is how I would make those adjustments. And if anything, I could take this off to access on top of the carburetor, if anything, but that is it. Anyhow, everybody, next video could be showing it running, but this is good for now. This is what I'm trying to get at, what I was trying to work on for the last few months. I'm happy with it. That's it for now. You know, just because I'm cool, I'm going to do it again, because I just realized that I forgot to acknowledge this. See, when I had it was pulled out, and I was supposed to push it in when I'm starting it. That chokes the gas to make it run, so we're going to do it one more time with that. Just because I'm awesome, and I like my monster that I created. So once I get that going, I'm going to pull that thing out. Okay. There is something rattling around in there, and I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna have to figure out what that is. Okay, since the last video I went and did a few things. One of the things I did was I stripped it all apart just to few days ago, and I went and put thread locker on all the friggin' joints. So I had to remove this, I had to remove this, I had to remove these two, so anything that was attached to the block, I had went and put thread locker on it to prevent any other components from shaking or rattling loose. The battery has been hooked up, and the rattling noise that I was hearing from last night was coming from in here. The center nut from the brass starter, which is attached to the flywheel, was coming loose, so I put thread tight on that too, and it turns. As you can see, that turns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to start it again. And and because that panel there kept on coming off, I put a piece of zip tie there to prevent it from doing that again. So we're just going to get it so that way it fires up to see how it looks and sounds. And then, here we go. Now that was pulled out. Now we're going to push it in. It's running a little choke lever. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I am looking for. So, that is exactly the sound I was looking for. So in order for it to have done that, I went and pushed that all the way in like we were supposed to. So yeah, this thing works. I just gotta do some fine tuning on it. So that is a wrap for now. Yeah, I'm happy.